At every convention I go to, I have 3 to 5 people come up and say, what you have going on here is amazing. The voice that you've created for your company is special. The organization, your media kit, your focus, your niche, your delivery is really, really well done. How do you do it? I give a large percentage of that credit to my boss at Experience Care and a very large percent the team at Content Allies.
Welcome to another episode of A Guide to B2B Podcasting. In today's episode, we have a remarkable guest who will share his journey and the transformative impact of podcasting on his business. Meet Peter Murphy-Lewis.
My name is Peter Murphy-Lewis. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at a software company. I also run the podcast LTC Heroes.
Peter works at Experience Care.
We essentially provide software solutions for nursing homes, post-acute, SNFs, skilled nursing facilities. We've been doing that for decades, and we are one of the unique players because we have one of the most robust software systems in the market.
Peter's podcasting journey began with uncertainty and a lack of direction.
I was completely lost. I didn't really know where to start. I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have a playbook. I didn't have a name. I didn't have a logo. I didn't know my audience. I didn't know how to get my guests on.
Recognizing the need for a partner who could provide guidance and take on the heavy lifting, Peter discovered Content Allies.
I needed someone to think. I needed someone to push back. I needed someone to give solutions and make proposals and take the heavy lift off, and so that I could focus on being good at communication, being focused on what my brand needed and what I needed to express as a face of that brand. And Content Allies took everything else off my plate.
Content Allies became more than just a podcast production agency. They became Peter's strategic partner, enabling him to focus on effective communication and expressing his brand's vision.
The reason that I chose Content Allies was pretty simple. I could try to piece together things for freelancers and contractors, but then I was going to be involved in the hiring and the firing, the training, the skilling up, getting them to think critical. But starting with Content Allies, I felt like I started off with a team of maybe 50 people who were thinking for me, who were doing all the outreach.
With all the support that Content Allies provides, Peter spends minimal time managing the podcast on a weekly basis.
I would say that I spend max 90 minutes a week on a podcast that is now ranking number 1. To give you a framework, usually what happens is my co-host or myself have a 15-minute free interview chat with our potential guests where we map out the 3 to 5 topics that they want to cover. Then we give them a schedule link and they book on our calendar. We go over that pre-chat outline 5 minutes beforehand. We go into the studio, we do the interview. We turn off the interview that's 30 to 35 minutes. We do an introduction to that, which takes 5 minutes. Send it off to Content Allies, and they take over everything else. Our posting on all the social, our distribution to all the channels. They take over my LinkedIn. They tag the guests to improve the reach.
With Content Allies by his side, Peter experienced a remarkable transformation in his podcasting journey.
The results from the podcast have been really spectacular. I would start off with the very beginning. It's well known. It's well ranked. The guests are good. The content is good. I get feedback all the time.
Peter's podcast became a powerful tool for sales and marketing, opening doors to speaking engagements, and attracting industry decision makers.
It's been spectacular. I've been to more than 20 states in the last 18 months, speaking to probably somewhere over 20,000 people, 15,000, north of 15,000 people that are executives, owners, vice presidents, COOs, the decision makers of people who need my product and that I can help.
Peter shares with us the strategy that has been driving incredible results for the podcast. One of the key elements in their approach is leveraging podcast guests to generate valuable backlinks for their brand. Peter explains.
One of the other results that I think is low-hanging fruit from anyone who's going to start a podcast, and this is something that Content Allies not only helps with, but thinks out of the box on how to help me solve this. Is I like, if I'm going to be spending an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours every single week interviewing people and using my energy to do that, I also want to make sure that it's going to have results, metrics online that are evergreen, that are going to affect our brand 6 months from now, 1 year from now, even if the person I'm interviewing leaves the industry. And a simple process of doing that is finding thought leaders, finding guests that I can interview that already have a high domain rank. So somewhere above north of 40, 50, 60, invite someone from their team. Our team writes up a guest blog for them that gives us backlinks to our brand, Experience Care, and to our podcast, which positions and increases our brand and our traffic over time.
The impact of Peter's podcast extended beyond speaking engagements, significantly boosting his company's online presence and brand visibility.
This strategy of using podcast guests to leverage backlinks to both our podcast and our brand has grown our traffic tremendously. We rebranded in January of 2021, and we're, a little longer than 2 years. Our traffic is over 40,000 hits a month, partially because of the support of the branding and the backlink strategy we have with the podcast. And the majority of the buying intent keywords we own in the industry.
It's clear that the podcast has become a powerhouse for Experience Care's growth and thought leadership. Peter continues, highlighting another incredible benefit that the podcast has brought to his personal and professional life.
From a sales point of view and from a marketing point of view, the podcast has been translated into more than 25 speaking engagements at conventions in my industry. Not only being invited for free, rather my costs being covered. They pay for my flight, they pay for my hotel, my food, my Ubers. This opportunity gives me 1 hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours of free marketing real estate in front of my prospects, in front of my industry, in front of my sector. Basically being a face of our brand has been possible because of the podcast.
Content Allies played a crucial role in Peter's podcasting success, providing support, expertise, and a deep understanding of his industry.
What makes Content Allies different from other podcast agencies is just quality. The strategic lift that I know that I have from the support of Jake and his team, I can't imagine getting it at this price point from any other agency. I really feel that I would be paying north of $15,000, $20,000 a month to get what I get from them. I couldn't recommend anyone better than Content Allies. They unilaterally reach out to me once a quarter and give me a 5 to 15 page PowerPoint telling me what's working, that we go over their metrics. They give me advice on how to improve, whether it be the way that I speak, whether it be the questions that I ask. They ask me, what are the lists of future guests that I want? So I can tell them all the board directors of this industry, go find all the keynote speakers, go find all the connections with the people who are executive directors from these state associations, and they get it done.
With Content Allies' ongoing support and strategic guidance, Peter continues to excel in his podcasting endeavors.
I could essentially just show up to an interview and my hand was being held from the very beginning until the very end. And I could trust that the product was going to be finished, edited, and distributed in effective in an efficient manner. And that's everything that Content Allies did. I expected the product to be B+ or A-, and they showed up with giving me AP credits, and I finished valedictorian of my high school with their support.
Peter's dedication to delivering valuable content and building meaningful connections has been instrumental in his podcast's success.
It's nice that we're ranked #1 on Google for the podcast. It's nice that we're ranked for the most listened to podcast and long-term care on all of the platforms, Spotify, Google, Apple, and so forth. It's the quality of the people that are listening that get to hear my voice, our brand, our company brand, our mission in their ear for 45 minutes to 75 minutes once or twice a week. Having 2 CEOs listen to our podcast and understand our brand is a lot more important than having 1,000 entry-level people who don't make decisions listen to it. I would much rather have 2 quality listens than 10,000 lower entry-level listens.
It's clear that Content Ally's expertise and dedication to their clients have made a significant difference for Peter and his podcast.
I'd recommend Content Allies to any B2B company that is trying to growth hack thought leadership on a bootstrapped budget. Way cheaper than ads, way cheaper than SEO, way cheaper than paying for booths and exhibitor spots. You can speak to your happy customers, you can speak to your prospects, you can talk to decision makers a lot faster with Content Allies than any other channel.
As we wrap up our conversation with Peter, he leaves us with his final thoughts.
At every convention I go to, I have 3 to 5 people come up and say, what you have going on here is amazing. The voice that you've created for your company is special. The organization, your media kit, your focus, your niche, your delivery is really, really well done. How do you do it? I give a large percentage of that credit to my boss at Experience Care and a very large percent the team at Content Allies.
Thank you for joining us today on this episode of A Guide to B2B Podcasting, where we explore the power of podcasting in the B2B space. And a special thanks to our guest, Peter Murphy-Lewis, Vice President of Marketing at Experience Care and host of the successful podcast LTC Heroes. And of course, to the Content Allies team who continues to elevate the world of podcasting with our expertise and dedication to helping companies thrive in the digital landscape. If you're ready to take your thought leadership to new heights and engage your audience on a deeper level, consider the transformative potential of podcasting with Content Allies. You can learn more about our services at contentallies.com, and always stay tuned for more inspiring stories and valuable insights right here on A Guide to B2B Podcasting.